stars are out tonight for the Philadelphia 76ers and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Welcome to the PHLY Sixers pregame show live from the Xfinity Lounge. Along with Kyle, I'm Devon Bree, the president of basketball operations. And all of you, as always, thank you for hanging out to start off this back-to-back, a huge and enormous weekend for the 76ers as we get things started with a 42-34 record. Just 6 games left on the season, 3 home games, 2 of which are Friday night tonight and Saturday tomorrow. So a lot to talk about. We are presented by Bet365, where winning is everything. We will get to the pregame picks a little bit later. As we talk about it being a huge weekend, every night there are games to watch because of where the 76ers are in the Eastern Conference standings as far as seedings go. So we will let you know what games to keep an eye on. Tonight, we will talk about Joel Embiid back again. Who knew?
Back in the same week.
He's back.
Unless something crazy happens during pregame. Derek just posted a video not that long ago of Joel warming up before the game, and we have to go through the obligatory, we'll see what happens after pregame warm-ups. I think it's pretty safe to say he's going to be rolling tonight.
He's back again.
Yes.
And we'll see what happens with tonight in regards to the Sixers playing the Pistons tomorrow. Is he going to be available? Is Paul George going to be available for night 2 of the back-to-back? We'll dive into all of that. But first off, because it is Minnesota and a little bit of the Detroit part of it too, first things first, Kyle, Minnesota is playing on the second night of a back-to-back, as you mentioned on the show on Wednesday, that Minnesota, a weird setup for the schedule for the Sixers. Minnesota was in Detroit to take on the Pistons on Thursday night. They lost to the Pistons. They're here tonight. Anthony Edwards did not play last night, but starting off overall, man, just 3 games left at home. 2 really, really tough teams in Minnesota and Detroit.
Joel Embiid is officially available.
He's officially
available.
For
all the doubters out there, and we do have a super chat related to Joel we'll get to in a little bit.
This is also payback for the Minnesota Timberwolves for the game that the Sixers won in Minnesota a few weeks ago in Minneapolis. But just a huge weekend for this team in terms of where things are right now in the standings, with the Raptors losing the other night while we were doing post-game. Sixers right now in the 6th seed. Toronto, who will let you know who they're playing a little bit later. They're playing tonight. So big night and a big weekend. Yeah,
and the team that is here visiting is one that has been hard to pin down for a lot of this year. I think what Sixers fans saw in the previous meeting, where an undermanned Sixers team took it to them, played really well, I think we probably call that one of the best wins of the season because they're scrapping and clawing for what they can get, and they come out and they just throw a haymaker against Minnesota coming off of a loss to the Pelicans. It was a feel-good win, but that's been one of the stories of Minnesota season. They've been a team that they can hit high highs, like they beat Boston recently, for example. They beat the Rockets in overtime. They had a close game against an undermanned Detroit team, but then they're losing games to like Portland. They're losing games to the Magic. They're losing by 25 to the Clippers in mid-March. They're not someone that you know what you're going to get out of them from night to night. And some of that is due to injuries, right? When the Sixers played them, Rudy Gobert was not available. He changes what they look like. Ant-Man's available tonight and has been in and out of the lineup recently, only recently returned to the lineup. McDaniels is out again tonight. He's a huge part of, he's a just defensive only type of guy. Now they count on him on both ends of the floor. So which version of the Wolves do we get tonight? I'm not sure. I wonder, Devon, if the news about Luka being out for the rest of the regular season might give them either incentive to try to gun for the 3, because it's not completely out of play. It'd be tough for them to get up to, the 3rd, 4th seed, but they could get there if the Lakers lose out. On the other hand, you're right. This is about the Sixers. For us, it's they got to try to win every single game. They got to give themselves as good of a chance as possible to either stay in front of Toronto or even potentially pass Atlanta, who that's the trickier one, right? Atlanta has just been absolutely on fire. They do have a tough stretch to end the year, but you got to worry about yourselves, right? We keep talking about, hey, the stars are back in the lineup. Joel's back. PG's back. Everybody's on the floor. And it's as much about building the chemistry, building out the rotation as it is getting these wins. But the wins are important because this team, more than any other, and maybe Paul George shows it better than anything, this team could use a week of rest going into the playoffs, right? They could use the time to work and practice. They'll have a set opponent. They know who's there. Mm-hmm. You go through the game plan all week instead of, hey, if you're in the 7-8 game, you got to prepare for that team and get to the playoffs first and then worry about the playoffs later and the matchup later and who you're playing later. Every single game you can pick up is an important one. And this is one of 4 consecutive games that I think are, let's call them toss-ups at best. They're playing some good teams and some teams with real stuff to play for. They're going to play the Spurs next week, who are hoping to, potentially get to that number 1 seed if they can catch Oklahoma City. This is a team in Minnesota that has a lot to play for tonight. So I'm excited to see. It'll be a really competitive environment. Joel versus Gobert. Ant-Man against VJ, who VJ's gotten comps to Ant when he was early in his career. This is a really exciting one for all of us here.
Rockets next week too.
Yep.
Right there in the mix. They're 5th
And then
right
the Pistons
now.
tomorrow, and Cade's not playing.
Yep.
But the Pistons have been super competitive against basically everyone that they've played against. Everybody. They beat Minnesota last night and beat them fair and square. It was not like a fluke victory. That's a team with a cohesive identity, a real strong culture this year. There will be no free ones until maybe the Indiana game for the Sixers.
And that's why when I look at tonight, and I even look at this weekend overall, as we talk about the Sixers and what they can do when they get to the postseason. Can they beat Detroit? Who's the best matchup, Boston or New York? We don't know much about Cleveland. In order for us to see them get there and have real faith in them to beat any of those teams, we shouldn't be worried about if they can beat Minnesota on the Friday night. You should be able to talk about them. Yeah, they can beat Minnesota on the Friday night to win their 43rd game of the season and keep themselves in front of Toronto, maybe creep up on the Atlanta Hawks. Are they as good as many people think they are when we talk about how they can be a dangerous team when they get into the postseason? Well, we can't look at a win over Minnesota tonight and say, man, they got lucky and did that. No, are you on their level or not? You have the stars. You have a big 4 as we talk about this group now with VJ Edgecombe and seeing how Paul George is playing, and all of them are available tonight. You winning this basketball game tonight, it should be a big win, but it's also one in which you should look at it as a measuring stick in some sorts of where they are in the NBA and can they actually compete. So while it's a tough opponent, it's not going to be easy. We know Anthony Edwards is one of the best players in the NBA. And Rudy Gobert is available tonight to be able to anchor things a little differently than we saw a few weeks ago in Minnesota. Julius Randle has games from time to time. Ayo Dosunmu has been a big pickup for them. And Bones Highland even coming off the bench with Naz Reid. He's a local guy that just likes to show out, of course, when he comes home with all the Delaware people in the building and showing out for him. So, and they lost last night. So with the seeding that Kyle is talking about, they want to make sure that they position themselves the right way where they don't fall. Maybe they do stay in 6, but maybe they elevate themselves a little bit to the 4, to the 5 or the 4, or maybe as high as 3 as we're discussing. But it's about them. It's about the Sixers and putting things together, getting those reps out there on the floor and beating a good playoff team that is sitting on 46 wins right now and has aspirations to do a lot more. They've been to the Western Conference Finals 2 times already with this group, or even the group with Karl Anthony Towns before he was traded to the New York Knicks. And they are a really good basketball team. So who are the Sixers? What are they going to do against this Minnesota basketball team? And also doing so on the front end of a back-to-back where, as Kyle pointed out, you want to keep winning and it's about you. Can you win 2 games against 2 playoff teams like Minnesota and Detroit and buoy your own internal belief in yourselves of what your locker room is built off of, who you are, what you are all about, as you have just 6 games now left for the start of the postseason. So this is big for them, not just Minnesota and Detroit. It's big for them and what they can say to themselves and what they can believe in themselves of beating these types of teams as you get ready for a 7-game series.
Yeah, and so Gobert's inclusion, we can probably, because he's here, we can probably now pivot into let's talk about Joel.
Yeah.
Joel missed the previous game with an illness. And we did get a super chat from someone right at the top of the show from June.
June,
thank
you.
Am I crazy for thinking the two Joel stories are connected? To me, it looks like he tried to talk to Nick and got rebuffed, tried to appeal through the media and got chastised, refused to go to work and got soft benched. So we talked about this on pregame and postgame, mostly on pregame the other night. And I think, to me, there were two reads on it. Either he was too sick to play or too sick to go to the shoot-around that morning, and the team ultimately decided if you're too sick to be at shoot-around, then you're not playing in the game. And in that case, I think that's a responsible decision when you consider it's the Wizards and they beat up on them anyway. I think the other possibility is that, and I'm not saying this happened, but I think the other possibility is he didn't go to film session, shoot-around, and Nick, Daryl, whoever, the powers that be, were like, you can't skip film sessions. You can't do this. And so because he had already said he was sick, that gave them that cover to say he's not playing tonight. And yes, soft benching him. Now, I don't know one way or another. We've done digging on it and you're getting rebuffed, obviously. You're not going to get a lot of answers from the people that matter. Maybe Joel will talk about it tonight after the game, June, and anybody else who is interested in the behind the scenes stuff here. I'm sure Derek will provide us with some needed context on that front. But here's the important thing. He's in the lineup tonight, and Rudy Gobert's return changes who the Wolves are. I'm with a lot of other people who will make fun of Gobert. I'm not the biggest fan of his for all the reasons that you would imagine, but he is a transformative defensive player. Like, the difference between Rudy Gobert being on the floor and Rudy Gobert not is elite defense to
100%.
Basically non-existent defense, right? And so Joel is key because, as we've seen in the past, despite that Gobert is a good team defender, a great team defender, you would say, Joel has cooked him in various matchups in the past. And with him able to drag Rudy away from the rim, that then opens up the second side opportunities for the VJs and the Maxies. That opens up space for Paul George to operate in. That's going to put pressure on them when they're defending pick and rolls. You can't just over-focus on the guard, and Gobert can't just aggressively challenge guards at the rim, because if you do that, you're going to concede an elbow jumper to Joel Embiid, and that's an automatic shot for him. So on both sides of it, Gobert is a big difference maker in their identity, because I believe they're the fifth or the sixth best defense this year, somewhere in that territory. And he's, the driving force behind that. But Joel's the neutralizer. Joel is the guy who will take away what he's good at, and that will make life easier, hopefully, for all the other guys. That means that Paul George, who won't have to get guarded by McDaniels because he's out of the lineup, that shifts all the defensive assignments down one. It opens up opportunities for the rest of the Sixers to get going.
And that's what so with all of that, as you just laid out, and again with the super chat coming in from June, I expect him to send a message to, if this is a whole thing of, again, us talking about they didn't let him play because of everything you laid out both on Wednesday and just now, I expect him with Rudy Gobert on the other side to go right after him like he always does, because he does cook him. And that's a fact. He simply cooks him. So I expect him to go right after Rudy Gobert tonight, see if he can get him in foul trouble, and try to put up a big night on Rudy Gobert. And other things will happen with Paul George, Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, etc. But because of all of that and this, I really do believe that he's going to try to come out there and send a message immediately because he missed that game, and Gobert is opposite him.
Listen, say whatever you want about Joel, and we have a lot of debates going on at the current moment about him. When he sees a guy like Rudy Gobert across from him, he treats it like a measuring stick game most of the time. That's not to say he's going to win it. It's not to say he's going to have his greatest game tonight, but he always, when there are those individual matchups, the circle on the calendar type games, Joel is ready for those ones. He's ready to come out. And look, so for some people, that'll be a negative, because we've talked about Tyrese Maxey not getting involved in the offense as much early in games. We've talked about how Joel is a first half guy where he comes out and he can have a 15, 20-point first quarter, and that sometimes can be to the detriment of everyone else. So what I would hope to see in a game like this is a balance, right? Like Joel taking it at Rudy Gobert, doing the things that he does, but also using that to set up Maxey and VJ and Paul and everybody else in the lineup, because that's the power of being that type of scorer, is that you can go out there and get yours. You can get your 25, 30 points, but you're also making life easier for everybody else.
All right, we'll also look at what else to watch for tonight in terms of this game, but also the other games. So while you're at it, arguing with each other about Joel is ticking you off, you still love Joel. Saw a Minnesota fan in there saying Joel was terrible for the game and all. Hit the like button.
Right,
hit the like button. Like and subscribe to the show. Tell a friend to tell another friend that we are here, especially, of course, during pre and post, but also our 3 p.m. shows where we will have 2 next week, I believe, right, Bree? Or maybe 1, but we will definitely have 1 next week for sure, because there are 4 games. So we will have 1 3 p.m. show next week before the postseason. Yes, I'm just thinking, I'm like, oh, they do have 4.
The schedule, man, is broken.
I'm like, they do have 4. So we have our 3 p.m. show next week. Pre and post, of course. We're also gearing up for extra basketball after the regular season, whether it's play-in or getting ready for the first round as a 6th or 5th seed. We're here for you on the PHLY Sixers podcast. So hit the like button, like and subscribe, spread the word, let everybody know as we gear up for the postseason. This is the place for you to go. When we come back, what else to watch for in this game and the other games around the Eastern Conference that you need to pay attention to, plus our picks presented by Bet365. It's the PHLY Sixers pregame show with Kyle, Devon, and Bree right here on the pregame show, where we're having some fun while all of you argue. As a Philly fan, you know you cannot leave the sporting event early, especially if you watch the last 2 basketball games where they came down to the wire. And that's why now the only time leaving early is acceptable. It's with Bet365 and their early payout offer. Leaving it earlier has never been safer. At Bet365, where winning is everything. Right now, you get to sign up using the promo code PHLY365. Deposit $10. Get $365 in bonus bets when you do. You can't beat that. Nobody else is offering that, only at Bet365. All you have to do, again, download the app, where winning is everything. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Please gamble responsibly. Must be present in PA. $10 minimum deposit required. Bonus bet wager excluded from returns. New customers only. Must be 21 plus. Time limits, minimum odds, and terms and conditions apply. In-app only. Void where prohibited.
And guys, next up, we want to tell you about Xfinity, specifically about their 5-year price guarantee. Because what if you could have reliable and intelligent Wi-Fi? And what if you could keep it at the same price for 5 years? That's the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Imagine Wi-Fi that makes everything in your home work together, that finds and fixes problems before you even notice them, like a super intelligent Wi-Fi with a 6th sense. And that lets you stream the game even when the whole family's online. All your devices working in perfect harmony for 5 whole years. And here's the best part. There's no annual contracts, no hidden fees, and Xfinity's best equipment included. Take it from me, a lock and change in 5 years. Championships are won, records are broken, dreams grow bigger. But your Wi-Fi, it should stay reliable, and the price should stay put. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities with Xfinity. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Select plans only, restrictions apply.
All right, we're back, and you guys are fun. Right there in the chat here on the PHLY Sixers podcast. Hit the like button, like and subscribe to the show. We appreciate it as always. Post-game will be 10 minutes after the game goes final against the Wolves and the Sixers. Who else do you focus on tonight here in the game outside of Joel being back? Who do you want to see get off to a pretty good start? And defensively, what would you like to see in slowing down Ant?
I mean, here's the thing. I don't normally think I would say Paul George, but with the way that he's played since he returned, I'm looking at Paul George and saying, can he keep this going? Is this fresh legs phenomenon something that is going to just, we're going to get vintage Paul George for the rest of the stretch run? I don't know. I do think McDaniels' absence looms large for him. And I'll be interested to see kind of what the lineups and how the staggering works, because I don't know that you want to play him as a 4 at all in this game because of Julius Randle. Like, I don't know that you want to subject him to the wear and tear of getting, like, banged on like that by Randle. And so we'll see how that works. But I think without a real wing stopper available for Minnesota, that opens up some options for PG. And so
is that going to be Anthony Edwards' assignment?
It's possible.
Right?
I would guess Ant probably is on VJ, if anything.
So
I think they probably
starting,
not to give him like the toughest defensive assignment.
So that means it would be Ayo Dosunmu then, and then maybe DiVincenzo gets Maxey.
Or maybe like Dante will guard VJ and Ant will be on Maxey. Like I'm curious how they'll line it up.
Would be on George.
There are different options they can throw out there, but look, we keep talking about control what you can control. A lot of what Paul did against Washington, you're not going to face a 20-year-old super skinny Will Riley tonight or Trey Johnson, which he was able to take Trey into the mid post a few times in that game. There are no – well, I guess there's Bones Highland. If you get a cross match on Bones Highland, he's not offering a lot of resistance. But most of what Paul was doing is stuff that I feel is repeatable. I keep looking at the tape from these games and saying – I see the burst. I see explosiveness. I see strength. I see him going through people. Like guys who are able to keep up with him, Paul is old enough, strong enough, savvy enough to know how to shake somebody off, dip a shoulder into him, and either step through for a layup, step back for a mid-range jumper. I think obviously the craft is there. We've seen increasing amounts of videos of him working with VJ at practices, shoot-arounds, taking him through his tutelage, right? And adding all things to VJ's game. So I want to see what Paul has to offer tonight. If he can continue to produce the way he has, we can all sit here and dream a little bit bigger about what this team might be in the playoffs, because the thing with Paul is we've seen him play good games, but normally it's like one game and then a few, maybe a bad one, then another good one, and then he's out of the lineup with an injury. This is a 4 or 5 game stretch where he's played really, really well, and more importantly, has looked really good physically. So I want to see what he's got tonight, first and foremost.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good one. Of course, he's been playing fantastic basketball since he's been back. Also, just defensively and just how you slow down Anthony Edwards, is that going to be Paul George's assignment, to your point? Or is that going to be Edgecombe's assignment? Yeah. Are they going to switch off from time to time?
I would guess VJ is going to take Ant.
Yeah.
If I had to guess. I think
he has to make
on
sure,
a personal, individual level, I think he wants that one.
Yeah. Got to stay out of foul trouble, though.
100%.
Because when you talk about savvy, he can get you in some bad spots, and VJ Edgecombe will be sitting on the bench pretty quickly. Terrence Shannon Jr. is also a name to watch off the bench, maybe to defend Paul George a little bit. Young player, but physical, and has a good body on him. Naz Reid coming in off the bench, that's also going to be another one to keep an eye on to see how they do things there.
That's someone who will change the whole complexion of the game. He obviously can play as a power forward because of the shooting ability and chip in with the rebounding. But the interesting thing is going to be when Naz Reid plays some center, and he will play some center in this game, how do they defend that, right? Whether it is Joel or Adem Bona. Bona is a better, step-for-step athlete type guy to get out there. But we talk about it all the time, Devon. That's when he gets in trouble, is defending the perimeter, defending switches, a lot of reach-in fouls, and getting a little too, called exuberant out there. Mm-hmm. And so if it's Bona versus Reed, and I would suspect we'll see a good amount of that tonight, how does Adem handle that, I think, is definitely a big storyline tonight.
All right, so some big games in the Eastern Conference, everybody, tonight. And so while you're paying attention to your basketball team and your game, there are some others that we need to watch out for. So here are a few of the games that we got to keep an eye on just to check in from time to time. Last night, the Sixers, after last night, are sitting in the 6th seed ahead of Toronto, identical record at 42-34. Both teams game and a half back of the Hawks and a game and a half up on the Charlotte Hornets in the Eastern Conference standings. So the Sixers are 6th. So with that, Kyle, the Hornets won last night, took care of business. They're back on the floor, but they're home, and they have the Indiana Pacers. Then you have the Atlanta Hawks, who have been rolling. They are in Brooklyn. I'm not too worried about them slipping up against the Brooklyn Nets.
I'm writing in Sharpie. The Hawks are getting that one.
That is not a problem there. Later at 8 o'clock, you have the Raptors with the Grizzlies.
I'm pretty confident the Raptors win that one as well.
I'm not.
Really?
Yeah. Now, they did slip up. But the Grizzlies
think
do
after
fight.
that Kings loss,
The Grizzlies do
they
put up
do.
a fight.
I think the Raptors after
not
the
the
Kings
Nets.
loss are coming in and saying, we really need this one.
I'm more your way, but the Grizzlies will give them some frustrating moments out there. Let's see how long that one lasts. And then you have the Orlando Magic in Dallas to take on the Mavericks, and Orlando is at the moment 2 games back of the Sixers. They are in 9th place, half game back of the Hornets. So if the Hornets are to take care of business against the the Pacers, as we mentioned, the Magic have to beat the Mavericks, who Cooper Flagg and those guys still play out there. Mm-hmm. That's not going to be an easy one.
I would say the Pacers, for as bad as they are,
watch.
they've been competitive recently. They've stolen some wins here and there.
Mm-hmm.
So with Charlotte on a back-to-back, that's one where you look and say, I'm not expecting it, but I wouldn't be completely stunned if Indiana is somehow able to pull that one out.
Yeah, and 2 other games where they don't matter in terms of your seeding. However, it could matter for if you get 5 or 6. These could come into play. That is, or 7. That is the Knicks hosting the Chicago Bulls, and then the Boston Celtics in Milwaukee to face the Glenn Rivers' Bucks tonight.
The Doc Rivers farewell tour,
yes.
we're going to call it. I feel like he is not long for Milwaukee.
He's only not getting the Clippers here. That's the only one he's not getting. He's getting the Sixers and the Celtics during his farewell tour. And so those are some of the games to keep an eye on in the Eastern Conference tonight. A lot of time
at Pebble Beach and Shipyard and Hilton Head, South Carolina.
There you go.
Augusta, if he knows any members there.
He's got it. He's got it.
On the grand tour.
He's got it. All right, let's get to the Bet365 pregame picks presented by Bet365, where winning is everything. And make sure you sign up using the code PHLY365 when you download the app there for Bet365. You also get $365 in bonus bets, win or lose, when you do sign up. Here are our picks. Bree is now 3-3, Bree? 3-3. I'm 3-4. So we always start off with Bree. Rudy Gobert, 10-plus rebounds. Paul George, 15-plus points. Look at those odds.
I like it, Bree.
Look at those odds. Right now, the plus 140. Mine also a plus 140. Tyrese Maxey. Points and assists over 33.5. Points and assists. Dante DiVincenzo also coming back home. We mentioned
Never
Bones
let Derek
Highland.
claim that you're conservative with the bets again, Devon. That's a real bet. That's a real parlay right there.
I think so. Thank you, Derek Bodner. 2 plus 3s for the local product. Again, Delaware. Dante DiVincenzo, Villanova standout, plus 140. If you like those and you want to combine them, guess what you get at Bet365 tonight for any NBA game? Plus 50%.
Ooh.
What a Friday profit boost at Bet365. That's the only place you're getting that. Go ahead, check out Bet365. Once again, on the app, use code PHLY365 when you sign up because winning is everything. And you get $365 in bonus bets, win or lose, with a $10 deposit. Place your wager, and you're good to go to make your wagers at Bet365, where winning is everything. Must be 21 plus, physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, how you feeling about this one tonight?
I feel like it could go either way. I think it may be decided by just how much VJ looks like Ant-Man tonight. If VJ can summon one of those big VJ games, I think that goes a long way. I slight lean towards Sixers win, but we'll see. I love my guy Ant, so I'm excited to see him do what he does out there tonight.
You can get a big night out of Ant and still win the basketball game. So that's it. That'll do it for us. We'll be back again 10 minutes after the game goes final, and we will break it all down, win or lose. As always, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, tell a friend to tell another friend, and leave a comment as well for the show. For Bree, Kyle, and Derek at the arena, I'm Devon. We'll see you post-game right here on the PHLY Sixers post-game show. Enjoy.
We all silly like the mayor.